Da-da-da.
Ba, 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 ba.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
So, Bombos, it's just you and me now.
Yeah, I kind
Just
of
you and
feel
me
the warmth
now.
of Ronnie sitting here yesterday.
Except I sat in your seat yesterday.
Oh,
Did
really?
you not see that? Yeah, I switched seats with her because she always has this thing with light. She's better lit on one side than the other. So I sacrificed my seat so she could be a little bit better lit. That's what you do for love.
So today, Andy, I have a dear friend,
Mm-hmm.
and his name is Benoit Leray, and we're actually going to discuss. I've got a brain tumor on
A wonderful chaos.
What?
A wonderful chaos, man. So I offered Bambos the opportunity to do the intro, and he just sees that I can bullshit and move my mouth faster than he can.
Yeah.
And he just says, let him do it.
Let him do it.
You know? When you told me that, let's give some context. 3 months ago, Benoit,
On the 18th of February.
18th of February, he had a seizure, went to the hospital, and they said, you got a mass.
Yeah.
Okay? Not a religious moment. You got a mass. So that happened 3 months ago. And a month ago, you mentioned that he reached out to you and said, hey.
Through Facebook, just on Messenger. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, by the way, I have a tumor in my head. Do you want to make pictures?
Great intro.
And I'm like, slow down. Like, shall we have a call?
And you know what I think is beautiful in that? Like, I would think if I was in his same shoes, that there's a lightness that I'd want to look at my life that is so frustrating when you talk about it with other people, and then they like make a face, and you're like, oh my God, do I really need to pretend like I'm suffering like you are? Because what I've heard from a lot of people who have cancer, which I haven't had, thankfully, yet, that they often say the biggest pain is others.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like you're sort of like, okay, this is what I got. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll figure it out. And then you have to talk to others, and then the others do that thing like, are you okay? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling quite okay. How are you doing?
And
he actually said this to me.
Yeah.
That he's like, wow, the amount of energy I have to put out to caretake other people.
I know. And I've heard it over and over again, we went to the supermarket yesterday, and Ronnie, because I mean, we did the intro was that we're always trying to find a nice angle for the story. So when Benoit said, hey, it was as big as an apple, I thought, okay, we'll put that in the story because that just makes it a little bit more interesting. So yesterday I went out to go buy apples. I mean, just not because of this, just because I wanted an apple. And then Ronnie looks at me like almost disgusted. And I'm looking at her like I have no connection between these two things at this point. She's like, really? You're going to get an apple for the show? I'm like, what do you mean the show? And then she basically
so she planted the idea.
No, well, she planted the idea. I certainly didn't have it in my head when we began, but nor did I bring it. But the funny thing was that she's always thinking, she's saying, oh, you're always conniving.
She's like connecting the dots.
Yeah. And I mean, and even the pictures for the show, I picked, as you know, I'll always pick 3 or 4 pictures. And basically I thought, we're picking something fun, playful, something that we get to enjoy. Yeah. And I think, it's hard for people to hold what they see to be this serious topic with such lightness. And I knew when we said, Benoit, do you want to come on? I knew that there was no way it was going to be a miserable hour, because he wouldn't have done it then. Right?
We can make it a miserable hour.
I don't know. We'll do that. We already know what topics we're not going to discuss. So no, we won't. but the whole point is that for me, there was a beauty in a lot of aspects of this. First of all, who the hell wants to go on a show to discuss something that they're not even all that sure about themselves? So that speaks to just him as a person, period. And then to sort of allow us to, I've never met him. Who knows, I believe he's seen a show or two, but who knows where we're going to go. And obviously welcoming that in is also something that speaks to a lot of who this person is. And the fact that he reached out to you to say, let's do a photo journal of the process, the before and the after, and just sort of because as you know, he might not remember part of that short-term memory.
Yeah.
So even having pictures will, in some ways, refer back to something he may not even remember, which is its own curiosity.
We've been filming also and talking to the camera what we're
Uh-huh.
doing. So every time we're going to be filming.
Okay.
And yeah, I just want to speak to one more point, Andy.
Uh-huh.
Like, normally it's more easy to speak about things when they're in the distant past.
Yeah.
So he's still in process.
Yeah.
Like, he will be operated somewhere in September, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what would be nice to do if you're going to record him, like maybe have him record a few things that are totally inappropriate, like do you remember having our first sexual contact? So if he doesn't remember them, then you at least present it back to him and say, hey, remember this happened?
Oh, you are so inappropriate. I love it.
Let's bring him on.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay,
Set.
guys, this is Benoit,
Benoit, a Frenchman.
a very sexy Frenchman.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, guys. I can say
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. But I can say immediately that many other people try to have the same approach and start documenting and recording promise I would make before the surgery, and then they will present me the invoice, present me a wedding ring and everything. So you're not the first one thinking that way, which is a very good one.
Yes, it's like that film Memento when he actually had
Yeah.
tattoo himself to remember things. So take me back to February 18th.
It
You're-
was April.
Oh, sorry, April
No,
18th.
that's fine. Yeah, it was April. Yeah, well, the way it happened, it all started with an epilepsy seizure, which was the first time for me, and I just felt it coming. I just had the time to go to my neighbor. I enter the apartment of my neighbor, giving her my phone and probably doing something like like not able to communicate. I step on the floor and then I just fall back, like I just collapse, probably doing my epilepsy seizure. Ambulance came, take care of this, bring me to the hospital. And the next memory was waking up in that bed at the hospital. And the very first sentence I do remember was an intern telling me, I don't remember the face of this lady, but it was a lady on my left side. And she basically told me, sir, you are in the hospital, you have a seizure epilepsy, and you have a mass in your brain. A doctor will come to you soon. That was the first sentence. And like in a very Dutch,
Like you just woken up. You don't even know where you are.
yeah, I'm like, okay, I got a mass in my brain, and then I felt asleep like a few minutes after that, and then basically the whole story started, and all these discussion with doctors happened, all kind of diagnostic that confirmed that the mass was actually indeed a tumor.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, I'm currently following a treatment plan. Next step is opening my brain, getting this tumor away. And fun part actually will be that it will be an awake craniotomy. So I will also have some talk during this surgery.
Wow.
So that was the starting point, let's say.
I mean, they've had these videos of people playing musical instruments as they're doing it. So is there anything in that direction where you'll be doing something repetitious or that you would normally be able to do?
No, but basically on my case, the only thing I need, I mean, the hospital, basically what they want to do is making sure I will be able to go back to an income work. They would just want to make sure I will be able to go back and keep my stuff. And basically for me, they want me to be able to move, be able to speak English, and eventually speak French. So the only testing we will do will be keep my mother tongue, keep English, and being able to move. That's it. So unfortunately, I will not be able to play guitar because I play guitar. I was like, I can play guitar, but no, they don't really.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't.
Wow.
Really,
So interesting. Now that you say this is really incredibly fascinating because you're saying that basically they're deciding ahead of the operation what they want to focus on to make sure. So, if for some reason there's memory loss or any of that, then that's not really their interest.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the key performance indicator. There is even some study I document myself a lot, and there is a European group of neurosurgeons, and they have a list of around 60 different KPIs, and one of them is ability to come back to an income, like getting a revenue from the existing professional activity. So they will basically focus on this. And there's on my side, for example, being able to have this micro precision stuff, like being able to manipulate an instrument is good, but it's not the main focus. For me, it's mostly the ability, the languages, and of course the ability to move, because we all need to move and use our fingers and everything.
Yeah. So I guess
it drive the surgery choice on what they will remove based on where is the tumor and everything. Yeah.
And I mean, by the way, I'm fascinated.
Yeah,
So I'm asking. They know where the tumor is clearly because of the MRI and the tests you've had done, and they also, I'm assuming, know what in general the functions are of that part of the brain.
So that was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we know the map. Like, we know this guy that built this map 120 years ago. His name is, I already forgot it. I think it's Brunat or something like this. But 20 years ago, thanks to the new capacity of imagery and the new MRI system and all of this, 100 years of neurosurgery just fall flat, because the brain contains 5 main areas that control a set, and there is around 10 to 20 specific activity. But all of us, we have an actual completely different map, which means 2 millimeters to the left, 2 millimeters to the right can control a complete different sections. And also, there is other topic to take in consideration that, for example, I'm a left-hand drawer. And this is something that I was still in my bed 2 days after in the hospital, and they give me a pen and a piece of paper, and they asked me to start writing. So I pick up the pen, and then the neuropsychologist was like, oh my God, you're left-handed. I was like, yeah. And she was super excited about it, because my tumor is on my left-hand side, but because I'm a left drawer, it means that my mother tongue most likely is on the right side, control on the right side, which is specific to the left-hand drawing people. So they were like, it basically decrease the risk that the tumor will actually affect your ability to do that. So basically what they do during this awake craniotomy, they will map your brain. So I will be asked to do all kind of activities just to confirm, and they actually put sticker on your brain to make, this is a dangerous area to control movement. This is dangerous area to control the shape recognition. And it seemed that actually there is not one unique map of the brain. All of the brain have region, but they don't have street name. Like street name and zip code don't exist in the brain. It's more region, let's say.
It really sounds like you self-educated yourself, besides of what the doctor.
Yeah. I read. First of all, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of doctors in my network. I'm in this medical business for 20 years, not for the human, for the vets, but the language is more or less the same. But I was super lucky to also have access to a French neurosurgeon, and I spent hours on the phone with him, asking all kind of crazy questions that I would not dare to ask in the hospital in Netherlands. I was like, no, let's keep it professional. But with this guy, I was like, yeah, okay, let's ask him all kind of questions. And then, of course, I document myself a lot on, not really on the statistics, because statistics is just statistics, which means for me it's more on and off situation, but at least understand exactly how all of this is happening. So then you learn, for example, that even when we talk about brain tumor, right now I can talk only about my brain tumor, and there is 137 type of tumor that can happen. So it's also kind of it's so random, basically, that one sick patient is a unique entity, because it's one specific tumor to one specific map. So the outcome of it is also very specific. So that was also super great. As you just mentioned as well, that people will look at you and say, so how are you doing? But then the next step will be, oh, by the way, I have in my family this old aunt, and you know what? She was 17 years old, and she get operated, and now she's jumping around. It's like, it's nice to hear, but it does not add any value. So that was a good learning for me. The next time someone is telling me, well, I got this whatever sick stuff, the last thing I will do is bringing back, but in my network, I also got someone that We are not talking about the flu here.
Yeah.
It's,
I want to can you toss the book over? So like I did the tour of this book, which came out yesterday, right? This is The Wounded Healer. And basically the whole message is shut the hell up and listen. And that's the most compassionate thing you can do. Like, don't think you can solve anyone else's problems.
yeah.
And
I'll get you a copy, Benoit.
but unfortunately, people continually think that, hey, I can get rid of my own pain and a bit of irritation by telling you things I think will make you feel better.
And if you feel better, then the pressure is not on me anymore.
It's not on me anymore.
But we had this specific conversation with Bambos. Like, this is very understandable to let the people try to care for you. Like, everybody's trying. I think it's a natural reactions, and it's very difficult to control your wording. And instead of telling, hey, I'm available for you in case you need anything, like I make myself available for any help you will need. The actual way they will tell it to you in English or whatever other language, tell me when you need me, or let me know, which means schedule it, put an item on your to-do list, like let me know, I want. So it's more wording perspective, but it make a great difference on how you will, as the sick guy, take this, like, oh my God, I need to put you in my list of people as well. Okay, fine. So, but it's actually had a little bit of pressure instead of I'm available for you and just ring the bell if you need me. And in the meantime, I also understand that people who do care for you, they want to do something, because nobody wants to look at you and say, oh yeah, you're sick and whatever. So it's a balance to find. And but it was indeed a great learning experience for me as well, that I will probably never approach a sick person in the same way from now on.
Yeah, that's a big lesson. It comes up a lot. I had a friend who I visited once whose brother committed suicide, and I kind of ran up to him and hugged him and didn't say a word and then left. And he said that one act impacted him this whole life. And I think people don't understand the power of just being without needing to do anything else. It's just, there's a deep beauty in that. So have you taken advantage of this at all for sexual favors or things that you might not otherwise do?
No, not sexual favor yet, but it's good you bring this, because you never know. Maybe in the future when I will have this stuff, I can maybe use this. But I will say right now that the best benefit that came to me, even without asking, what from a food perspective, there were like a ballet of all the cooking talent that this country have. That really went to my place for almost a month, keep cooking for me and making sure I will feed myself properly.
People are taking care of you through food, you say?
Oh yeah, they feed me. That was like, you want to take care of me? Yeah, sure. Let's okay, cook for me.
Nice.
I enjoy that. So my fridge was, I was really amazed and this is the nice stuff to live in a world of expat actually, is then it was like Spanish cook, it was Australian, an Australian cooker doing some French recipe for me was also super nice. And I think it's also a nice way for the people that none of them can actually do anything for the sick itself, but at least they all made sure I was feeling just good and feeling good. Start with food. Can start with food.
Yeah. Well, I still think you could go to a bar and say, "Listen, I've got a brain tumor, and it would be nice to spend the night with you." Vambos can teach you his techniques. He's been teaching courses on this for years now.
I don't think he needs it.
No, I don't either. He looks like he's pretty slick, doesn't he? Vambos, you got something? Because I saw you.
Yeah, I like. How has this experience changed how you interact with people?
Yeah, it didn't. I must say, it did not change that much in my daily interactions. I did not change the way I communicate with people in general. But maybe something that changed, it's more, let's say, I have a vision of the future, but right now I'm less entitled to take bullshit. And so probably change, especially at work, it changed the way that I will approach situation and basically no longer be sometime a bit shy to, well, I will speak my word or I will not lie. It's more like, well, you know what? I will speak my word, because what can be worse of this tumor I currently have? So it's more, this type, like, you know what? Let's cut the crap. I'm almost 40 now. I got this. So what are you trying to do, basically? So yeah, that was more, let's cut the crap, cleaning a little bit some relationship, cleaning a little bit of very old revenge I had with some people as well, but just a way to clean up a little bit. That's and you feel good doing it. Because
did you reach out to the people, or did the people reach out to you?
No, I reach out to some people.
Yeah, oh, beautiful.
And sometimes it was just in a very nice way, just to clean up, like, hey, basically, I remember like 8, 10, 12 years ago, we end up this relationship, or we end up these connections in a very bad way. And now I think, you know what, I would regret to leave that world if the worst would happen to me without cleaning this. So that was one of the few action I took. But then, I mean, we will need to interview or survey my friend for that. But I'm not sure I changed that much the way I'm referring to them, or I'm interacting with them, let's say. So I think the most shocking part was more, but like, why are you so excited about it? Like why do you think an awake craniotomy is exciting? I was like, for me, it's like being part of a Grey's Anatomy. So yeah, I want to.
Something has changed. And I'll tell you what, because I know you from working together also for the last 5 years. And you've also come for a photo shoot before this. And what has changed is, in the past, I think you would have showed up in a very nice, slick shirt, nice jacket. Your hair would have been more groomed. Like there was a kind of perfection. And I see you here sitting. This is how we photographed this morning. And I'm like, wow, you kind of let go of something external also. You still look good, right?
Yeah, no, but well, thank you. But yeah, you're right. Probably and this is probably also getting older, but I'm definitely less having less attraction, or less, how do you say that in English? Like less consideration on how do I look, and less being conscious of how do I look from outside, where indeed I was much more always super sharp and super focusing on detail. But this morning when I opened the door, I was like, oh, damn it, it's already 10 o'clock. Oh, that's fine. Didn't wash my hair. Well, that's fine. It's okay. It's Bambos. He knows me. So yeah. And also because this is in this confinement time. I mean, I'm working from home since March as well. So it's like you also take less care of yourself in a sense in the way you look. Basically, there is less pressure on this as well.
I work out every day.
No, you don't.
So you get the message, you get the diagnosis. Like, what process do you go through to decide who you're going to tell and who you're not going to tell? And how does that unfold? Like, how do you work that through your thinking?
Yeah, that's a good one, actually, because when I look back now on how I evolved mentally about this situation in the last 3 months, I can say that my managing this change happened super quickly. That I probably moved from the shock of the news, going super down, like, okay, what can be the worst outcome of this, to looking at the future, looking at the option, probably in 24 hours or 48 hours, because like very immediately, basically they told me you got a mass. I was like, oh shit, I got a cancer. And basically when I entered the room of the neurologist 3 days after the MRI, or 4 days after, I was like, okay, so how many months do I have? I was really focusing on now. I'm just waiting for the bill. Like, let me know. And then they were like, no, your treatment will lead you to 15 years. I mean, basically, no, the next surgery should happen in the next 10, 15 years. This is a low stuff. I was like, fine. So I got a new life. And then I start informing people. The first person was out of the bed, my father, basically, like inform my family. So I tasked some people to do that, because I was not able to communicate. I was not even able to speak properly. So I was showing my phone, showing my numbers. I was mixing languages. I was making a mix of, I was speaking in a mix of English, Spanish, French. I tried to text people. I was reusing the same word or the same verb 3 times, but for completely different meanings. So it was interesting. But basically, it's all started with inform my family, but just like, for your information, I'm sick, but that's it. And then it was my colleague, basically, because this is living in this country for 2 years. My closest connections, they are actually 90% of them all related to my work. And that's also lead to another branch on how do you announce it, because the first reaction was like, no, this is an embargo, we don't talk about it, we need to wait for him, like, let's don't talk about it. And then I was like, no, let's say the word, let's name it. There is no reason to hide it, because then I will be put in situation to have to lie, or like you know this thing, and anyway that in any company or in any network, information will spread from mouth to mouth. No, don't say it, but you know what? I think he got a brain tumor. Like,
oh yeah. The next thing you know, like, you walk into a meeting and everyone's like, "Oh, can I get you some water? How are you?"
Well, the next thing you know, he's on a broadcast.
Yeah, I will broadcast it. but yeah, it was more. And then very quickly, so I had some people over the phone. But funny enough, after 2 weeks, I completely forgot about this concept of announcement. I was considering, or I already said it to, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 people. So that's fine. Like the world knows. But actually the situation that Ben Boss experienced, like, hey, by the way, do you mind, like, I have a brain tumor, I will get operated. Do you mind doing some? I did that a couple of times, actually. And sometimes over the phone with people I didn't have for a while. And people ask you, hey, so how are you doing? Well, I'm doing good. Like, I will have to be operated. And you basically drop the name brain tumor, and then silent, tears, scream, all kind of consideration. So I had to also learn about it as well to try to prevent. So now,
how is it like now you're the one who basically has to deal with whatever is going to happen, and you have to console everybody else?
Yeah, exactly. I need to take care of it, because I mean, I don't want to shock the people, or I don't want to make more damage out of it by eco. So now, basically, now it's a less and less. But for the last few person I had to inform, it was basically, well, I have something to tell you. So are you sit down? So
you already prep them. Like, I've got something to prep them.
I didn't get that. He didn't prep me.
I got something to tell you.
No,
Maybe it's best to sit down.
So I prepped them a little bit, and they, well, this is what's happening, and so I will be blah blah blah, and I also try to bring the true positive information I know, because I mean, my neurosurgeon gave me a lot of positive marker on my situation. There was, I'm really statistically, once again, but at least because people love statistics, they want to know what are the chance of. Wow, there was 2% chance on this, 5% chance of that, and everything. So this is also why I educated myself to understand for me, but also to be able to reassure the people that I should be super fine, and I should be back to my normal life in a couple of weeks after the surgery. So it's.
Did you go through any dark periods at all through the process? Was there like any time when you're like, oh, this is like, I got into a dark zone of some sort?
No, not dark moment. Like I had some, I didn't have any anxiety phenomenon. Like moment I was like, it was overwhelming. I didn't drop a tear at all about it. I didn't panic at all. It was more some consideration, not about how they will fix it. It was more making a list. I basically make a list very quickly on what will be the worst. And out of all the worst, for example, I exclude dying, because in case I'm dying, well, then the problem is no longer with me. I'm out of the conversations. So I was like, dying, yeah, sure, but not a problem for me. Dying will be a problem for me if there will be, for example, any people, like I would have any people with a dependency to me, like having a child, having a partner that will rely on my income. Like, and I was like, no, I'm single. I don't have any child. So basically, I will make a lot of sad people my friend. Nobody wants me to die, of course. No. this is something they will have to survive. So dying is not an option. And then I basically make a list of, okay, so out of the surgery, I can lose ability to move, I can lose ability to speak, I can lose ability to see, and so on. And so I basically rank what I'm ready to lose. And I end up with the fact that actually the worst for me will not be able to stand up and walk. And so, and that was when I was doing this processing, I could say it was a down moment because I was having the fear, like, okay, what could be? And then my way to go over it was like, okay, the worst will be for you to not be able to move, which means you will need someone to carry you. But I can be blind. I will find a way to figure out the world. I can be deaf. I can no longer be able to speak. I will find another way to communicate. But not being able to move will create a dependency to an external system. And this is when I reached that conclusion, I was like, yeah, I really don't like that. So I hope the doctors will do a good job. Yeah, that was my way. And this process happened very quickly in the first, I think in the first 2 weeks. I even remember having some conversation with some friends on, well, I think this will be the worst. If I can't move, I don't want this. That will be the sad part.
Yeah. It's interesting. You go through life similar to how I go through it, in the sense that if I go to the worst possible scenario and I can make peace with that, then everything else is okay.
Yeah, exactly. What is the worst? Yeah, this is not something new as well. This is something I did in the past as well. Like, what can be the worst outcome of whatever situation or whatever risk I'm about to take? Well, I don't know, losing money, losing whatever, but nothing that can actually impact you on the long run. So
I think that's the thing that's most sort of frightening for people, is when they can't imagine what's going to happen, and then they live in fear of something they're not even aware they're fearful of.
Yeah.
So in some strange way, bringing it to the light and saying, hey, this is what it could end up in. And then, oh yeah, that would suck, but that is what it is. There's no more, you're not ignorant. You're not pretending. It's,
Yeah. And this is something, I mean, it's almost like a repetition for Bambos. I remember we had this conversation, but also part of my quick acceptation process was I surrender to the situation very quickly. I did not try to slap myself and say, oh my God, I should have stopped smoking 10 years ago. I should have stopped doing this. I did not. I just surrendered to, this is a new situation. I will not try to find someone or a substance or an actions responsible for it, guilty for it. I will just face the situation and go methodically, like really approach it like what can actually go wrong. So as long as you accept what you have and you don't try to find another way to just escape the situation, like no, this is not my sickness. This is the sickness of my last habits of smoking, drinking, whatever. So no, this is my thing, and I will handle my thing my way. And that was also of the communication to the friends as well, to say no, I will do it that way. I will communicate about it that way. I will go on Facebook, actually, because I've been invited by Bambos, and I will speak about it. And I think it probably not make me feel better about it, but I'm happy to have this conversation because I'm not fearing the situation. I'm fearing the doctor having a flu this day and shaking and messing up, but that's it. Like, he's the only one actually that I'm looking at right now. So
so from you had the seizure then, and are there things that you did directly after which then sort of limited the growth, or limited so that is there a chance that you might have another seizure, or how does it now?
Yeah, sure. Right now I'm taking drugs for this. I'm taking the what is his name? Keppra. It's the drug that all the epileptic people in the world are taking, this type of molecule to prevent this to happen. But the seizure itself is just a consequence. So we just manage the consequence. The tumor itself, it keep having its own life. There is no treatment that you do before. What we know right now, because I'm doing MRI on a regular basis, we know this tumor is almost not moving. We talk about something that's growing like 2 millimeters per year. So it's a very slowly, and it's like, I call her the lazy tumor. It's a lazy tumor, which is a good news, because it's a lazy one, then we have time to prepare the surgery and do all kind of cognitive assessment. And so the only treatment right now, it's basically an exeres, how do you say, resections. This is the first part. And then, of course, there will probably be some, when we will know exactly after pathology will be done on the tumor itself, and they will run all kind of physical biomarker to qualify it exactly. Then they will define what do we do. Do we go for radiotherapy? Do we do for chemistry? I mean, there will be a follow-up after that. But before the surgery, the only thing they do is they are doing a monitoring, and they try to control the consequence, which is in my case, it's a high pressure on the brain that then lead to epilepsy. So yeah.
Would you think, outside of the epilepsy, would you feel like you have any sense that there's something going on that doesn't feel right per se? Like, could you tell you had a brain tumor if you didn't have epilepsy?
No, at all. Honestly, I could have gone and honestly, it seems to be the case for a lot of people discovering a brain tumor, that usually epilepsy is one of the first marker. It can take different form, but usually it's a trigger, because I didn't have any other symptoms of losing memory, not be able to speak, a big change of behavior that can also be a marker. But on my side, nothing changed at all. I mean, I went back to work 2 months ago, and now I'm full time, and I'm just interacting the exact same way it was before. So I could actually keep going. That was actually where we were discussing with Bambos, like, what are your options? Well, the options are very simple. The doctor told me, you got 2 options. That's, I open your brain, I remove the tumor. The other option, like, well, we don't do nothing, and we keep monitoring the tumor, and we will wait for the next step for you. So I could have said, no, don't bring me to the block. I'm not ready for this. Like, nobody pushed me. But I was like, okay, so this is the 2 options. I'm going for the surgery. I will not wait for my daily situation to becoming worse before I will take the tumor, because for sure these things will keep growing very slowly until it have other impact. So
I mean, the worst thing that can happen, you said, is not actually the epilepsy, but having an epilepsy and hitting your head.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like,
oh, like you're in a space, you get epilepsy, and you lose control, and you fall and you hit your head.
Yeah, it's more.
It's actually more dangerous.
If you don't see it coming. I mean, that was my luck actually. The first time it happened in April, that I've seen it coming. That I start hearing my own voice. I start hearing me repeating sentence I said in the last 48 hours. This is how it started. I was at my in front of my computer preparing a video editing for a conference call with friends, and it was like 6 o'clock, and I start hearing noise, and then I was like almost petrified, and then I was like I felt something super bad was happening. I felt it was nothing I ever did before. And I tried to pick up my phone to call an ambulance. And I know that this is 112 in Netherlands. I know that by heart. I'm even certified first aid kit, whatever. I was with my phone, with my 2 thumbs, and I was like, type 112, type it. I was not able to type. Like, I was really facing my phone. And then I was like, okay, I stand up, I move to my neighbor. I didn't even knock on the door. I enter the house, giving her my phone, like, and she made the connection very quickly. The fun fact is, because I was supposed to attend a conference, my friend was waiting for me. So they tried to call me. And the first guy my friend Tony will call, talk to my neighbor. And she was like, well, you need to come because your friend is on the ambulance and he got an oxygen mask and he's basically passed away. So the first announcement was really crazy for these people. And when he came, because he was a friend, the doctors in the ambulance asked my friend, so what about this guy? Is he taking drugs? Is he taking LSD? Because the description of the symptoms was actually more matching with someone just make an overdose of whatever, basically. And then of course they did the CT scan and they say, oh no, it's a mass. So
it sounds similar to like when I've heard people describe a stroke. It sounds like a very similar experience.
Yeah, that was actually my first thinking when it happened to me. In the first minute, I thought I was doing a stroke, but I actually remember checking myself from a physical. I was like, no, I can move. I can move my arm, I can control my face, I can do moves. So I did a very quick checkup in the first minutes, and then I tried to call. Yeah, it was. I mean, this memory, it's probably the worst memory I have of this entire story.
I would think so. I'm actually curious because we take our faculties so for granted that we can do the things, speak the languages, and I think if you're trying to speak and the words won't come out, or they come out in languages that you can't understand, or you're, repeating over and over again, there must be some sort of weird, like, almost like a helplessness that goes beyond just normal help. Like, what am I,
Yeah. I must say, I really experienced these feelings the first 3 days after the seizure, when I was in the hospital and I was able to send texts to people. And basically, I knew exactly what I wanted to say in the language. I was communicating in different language with the people, and I know how to type. But basically, I was typing the text, sending the text, reading it again, and say, oh shit, I used 3 times the word alone to say something completely different. Okay, let's do it again. Type again, and nope, nothing come. Like, so you basically you live into like let's say it's like a transparent coffin that you hear everything, you understand everything, you know how to reply, but your fingers, your mouth, nope, they don't want to follow you. They will go for something different. And I think it's even worse to not even being able to make a sound. That no, I can speak, I can say words. I remember one of my friends who came to visit me the first day. She came at the moment they were serving the breakfast. And the nurse came and she said, so what do you want for breakfast? Like tea or coffee? And I look at her and I was like, I know I want a coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. But my only reaction was to look at my friend and say, tea? Like, so I know this only because she told me. I have no memory of it. But I was completely disturbed that I know that I'm drinking tea. I understand the question, but I'm just not able to make a sentence to reply to you. And luckily, this was just brain confusions following the epilepsy and all the drug they give me, because they had to shoot me quite hard to stop the crisis. For the first 3-4 days, it was I had this type of behaviors. But after 2 weeks, I was back on the.
Yeah, and I mean, just being with you for this short time and seeing how exacting you are, how much you look through managing and understanding and taking steps. I can imagine it must be even harder for you in that sense. Just
No, indeed, it was a complete loss of control, basically, which is not something I'm comfortable with. Like I like having things under control. Like I can stop things where I want, and when this happened, nope, you're just done, and there is nothing you can do. That's the thing as well. You need to surrender to this as well, that you can yell at whoever you want. Nope, it will not work.
Wow.
So I'm basically now I'm relying on this nice medical team that is building around me, and I know they will do their best for sure.
Yeah. And that the operation itself is supposed to then occur in September, or when is that?
It will be beginning of September. I'm waiting for the date itself. Maybe I should post the date so we can
exactly. My birthday.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yep.
You called, or you wrote Bambos and said, "Hey, let's document this." What was going on in your mind when you did that?
Yeah, very good question as well. And honestly, I don't have a precise answer, because when I went to Bambos the first time, which was for a photo perspective, for my personal photo, was 1 year ago with a precise idea. Bambos, make a nice picture of me. I want to use on LinkedIn. But for this one, I was like, I want to document this. And the only reason is I know there is one thing that will change after this surgery for sure, is my body will no longer be the same. I will have a big scarf in my brain, which means my head will no longer look, it will be a small, but I was like, still, I want to document before and after, how I was looking before, how I will look after.
Yeah.
And what I will actually do with these pictures, I still don't know. Maybe they will remain in an envelope for forever, or put on a cloud forever, and I will open them in 20 years. But what I knew for sure is I knew Bambos was the right guy to do this exercise, because not only it will be the technical guys to say, yep, sure, tell me when we do the pictures and I will adjust my reflex stuff and I will do my, I knew Bambos will come with ideas around that. So basically in our first call, I basically just explained what I just said, that I want to document because I know there will be a before and an after. But the way we will do it, I let it go.
There's no during, by the way. He's not shooting any pictures during the operation.
Sorry, during the?
There's no pictures during the operation, as far as I know. It's before and after.
Yeah, exactly. Because during the operation, of course, it's a private area. I know that the doctors, they are recording, because this is a university hospital, so they are recording everything because it can be then reused. But no, we can't have access of what will happen during the surgery. That was
I don't know if there's there's always these glass rooms, that they have in movies and stuff. So I didn't know if that was Bambos behind the glass room with his macro lens.
I think I'll pass out.
Yeah, I get a confirmation that at least in France, this monitoring area in the surgery block, it's a fantasy. It does not exist at all.
Oh, is that right?
It's either you come into the block, you are on the back, you shut up and you look, but there is not this. I think it's honestly, maybe we will need to find confirmation, but
I think it's an American movie thing. They need to do that so that they can make a plot. Progress.
Speaking of filming, though, someone filmed Benoit when they were taking him down from his apartment.
Oh yeah,
to the ambulance.
Okay,
so he got to see that also.
But do you mean when they took him down? How did they take him down? Did you walk? I mean, did they take you down in some sort of
little elevator?
Yeah, it's a small. It's a very small building here, and basically they can't manipulate a body on a, how do you call that? Like this
stretcher.
Let's say, yeah. And so they can't go down with this in the stairs. So the only way they do in this neighborhood is they extract you by the windows. They had to call the firefighters. They came.
Oh wow!
And so of course it was like a show in the street. Nothing ever happened in that street.
No.
They was basically extracting the neighbor from the windows. And of course, my neighbors did what people do these days. Something is happening. You don't know exactly what is happening, but it's better to document it, because
who knows? It may be that you may make news with your recording.
Yeah, exactly. And so
I can tell you that Ronnie and I had a similar experience. It wasn't as pleasant, where somehow the neighbor that was 2 floors up, there was no movement for a few weeks. And all of a sudden I said, that guy doesn't take vacation, so we got to call the police. And they came in, and then the guy he died upstairs 2 weeks earlier. So they took him down in a body bag. So I just remember the only thing I remember seeing is I'm looking at the window, and there's just a black bag that kind of slowly goes down in front of the window. It was like, oh God, this is just so bad.
Yeah. But it was the same for me, except the bag was closed. And it was very funny the way I discovered it, because when I came back home, like a couple of days after, I was discussing with my neighbors. He's living downstairs, so I was from my balcony talking to him. I was like, "What's happened to you?" I'm just telling my story, and I asked him, "So how did they extract me? Like do you have any memories?" And then a bit shameful. I think he's like 50, 55 years old guy, American guy, and he was like, "Well, maybe I should not have done that, but I actually did a movie of it." I was like, "Oh, really? Send me this movie. I want to see that, because it's much better to actually see it than someone telling you the story." And honestly, when I watched this, I could have also prepared myself, but it gave me a moment of wow! Like, you see your own body completely deactivated with an oxygen mask going from the second floor to the ground, and you can and then these nurse or these doctors, they basically move you from one plane to the other one, but they switch you, and you see, oh my God, I was totally passed out. So actually,
I'm pretty sure that I could come up with an incredible concept to get a viral video out of this.
Yeah,
what I think would be really good is if you. I like when Bambos looks at me with those eyes. He knows I'm scheming. Whenever he looks at those eyes, I think it would be interesting after the operation if you got a GoPro camera of some sort, or you just secretly recorded, and everyone you saw, no matter who they were, you just said to them, "Should I know you?"
Oh yeah.
Should I know you?
Should I know you? Just record their reaction.
This is on the roadmap as well. So I hope a lot of them don't watch the movie right now. But yeah, definitely, I will play that game, especially at work. Like, do I know you? Have we ever collaborated before? Sorry, hello, my name is Benoit.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm Benoit.
Yeah, I'm Benoit. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I'm the CEO.
And then ask them, "Are you new here?" Oh, terrible.
My.
Yeah,
boys.
I think part of this is the thing that I think that people don't get is that there's a celebration of life, and as you're in some of the darkest periods of your life, there's sort of a love of just being okay with it all, and the greatest expression of being okay with it all is humor. And I've noticed in my life that a lot of times my humor, it's just hard for others because I'm like, if I'm okay with everything, then everything is already absurd. The whole world is absurd. Like the fact we're here is it's just absurd.
It can become as irrelevant or don't do that. Like, what are you doing this?
Yeah.
But no.
In fact, doing this show, I was always worried about that because in some ways, I mean, I'm loving, but I'm also not taking life all that seriously. And there's a complete probability, that someone's just going to say, I'm going to look at one video, one segment of one thing and say, this guy is a total jerk. And I'm like, you know what? He is a total jerk, and that's okay. Like you finally at some age, like you said, you went into the office and said, I don't have time for this shit anymore. I kind of woke up at 50 and said, I don't have time for this shit anymore. Like, if you guys want to like live in misery, be a victim, project everything out as everyone else is the villain in your lives, and that's your prerogative, but I can't make the time and space like I used to. Yeah.
You said it in a much better English than me, but yeah, we are perfectly agreeing on this. Yep.
Yeah. Andy has a lot of quotes, so if you want to ingrain it, we can rewatch the show later.
Exactly. I will take notes about some of them.
We're not only on Facebook, we're also on YouTube. And a couple of other platforms.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we'll get the podcast version up as well, of course.
Yeah, we were discussing this morning with Bambos about how all of these social media stuff and how all of these can be turned against you and everything.
That's a different podcast, though, right?
That could be another podcast as well. And I was like, yep, I know that by putting my face on Facebook, I'm already recognized by the system, and fine.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of the show, and the beauty of it is everyone says, how do you get, because we've done this ever since COVID began, and we're climbing up to 100 episodes now.
You're number 79.
And it's kind of fascinating because everyone's like, how do you book a show? And I realized you book a show because just people trust you, because they know that they're always going to leave themselves a little bit liable because they're going to say things that are on the internet for infinity and beyond. And yet they trust that there's some love and compassion and it will be held.
Yeah, and I mean, worst scenario, if in 2 months or after the surgery, I'm like, no, I want this to disappear. Well, that's fine. We can just you can keep your question, remove my face, but I will not sue you. I can put that on there. But I mean, I got a Facebook account for 2006, and we were discussing this morning, like more than 10 years ago, it was more a way for me to vent. So, I mean, this system already know all kind of emotions and stuff. Google knows that I'm all after brain surgery. This system is offering me all kind of new analysis and study constantly. So that's fine. The system knows. So now that's better to reconnect to the people than informing the platform. Let's say.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of looking into this whole idea that once we leave our cookies somewhere, that they're retargeting us with exactly the things we've searched for. Yeah. It's frightening how far that we've come there.
Yeah. This is even a job. This is my job. This is called remarketing. This is what we do. Like, we are cooking you, whatever you do, we are tracking you, and we will act like basically as a
And,
topic.
and he's really passionate about it. Like he's I think you spoke for a whole hour today just on that subject, and your hands kept on moving like you're talking about food.
Yeah. Some people have food. I got internet, or as an overall concept. But yeah.
So I'm sorry you were born in France. That's the only problem that you might have, you know?
Yeah, I know it's painful. I know, for the accent, for the food, and all
well,
the.
You know what? You've done a pretty damn good job of cleaning that accent up in a way that I can't say that I would immediately spot you as French. That's speaking to that.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, when I visit, I have relatives in Belgium, and they're from the French part of Belgium, and everything they say is very, very French-like.
Very crunchy, and this is the Belgium accent, which is for the French something you hear immediately. Canada and Belgium, they are the two worst French accent for the French people. Yeah,
that's why we have Texas in America.
I cannot. I can also speak with a very much more French accent.
That's what I'm talking about. That was the accent. If you had that accent.
Yeah, I can do it like this. If it makes it better,
kind of sexy.
I can make it in a very French way.
If you're gonna go to the bar and do what I told you to do, speak with that accent, I guarantee you it'll work better.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Well, keep that in mind.
And I can come and document it if you want.
Yeah. So I love that I love that from the start you sort of held this very lightly in your system and allowed it to unfold. And what I don't see often in life is that people don't automatically like project horrible and then go into misery and then go through this sort of like process of healing afterwards. It's almost like there was so much surrender at the start, like you mentioned, that you didn't have to go through this process of being like released from that. It was almost like, apparently this is where I am right now. And so would you say that there was spiritual work that you'd done in order to find that sort of surrender, or is that just your nature, or how does that come about?
No, I would love to come with a nice story and all kind of spirituality, but honestly, it was just the way I processed it, without any connection, without any moment of deep thinking. It was still, I mean, the thinking was still really much in my brain. Not really, I did not have any spirituality regarding this. I accepted that other people did it for me. It was like, if you want to put religion on top of that, if you want to put, we talk about Reiki, for example, that people doing Reiki and wanted to cure me remotely. I was like, sure, do your stuff. You want to cook, you cook. You want to pray, please pray. You want to do Reiki, please do Reiki. Both scenarios, I'm good. But don't ask me to be as disappointed as you are because your Reiki didn't work on me. Like, I welcome your help. You can't force me to follow you. Like, if I don't like your cooking, I will say, yeah, sorry, I don't like that much these vegetables. There is no reason to be offended about it. And it was the same from a spiritual standpoint. But from my side, it was a very mechanical way to process it. And I mentioned it to Bambos. Honestly, if you would have, let's say we go back 1 year from now, and we have this conversation about what is to be having a brain tumor or cancer, I'm pretty sure if you would have asked me, or how would you react in that situation, I'm sure I would have come with a story, going down, making a bucket list, quitting my job, and doing some extreme actions. Well, actually, it was completely different. I was like, nope, I will not change anything. Maybe I will cut out the bullshit, but I will not change the way I'm living, because there is a hope and survivance and true belief that this is not the end of something. And that will be, I mean, this is not something you can recommend to something, because once again, now I know that don't recommend anything to a sick person. But this is the way I processed it quicker, is surrender, accept it, and see, just assess for yourself, what is the worst? When we will reach what is the worst, well, then just reverse engineer the process until you feel safe, let's say.
By the way, I've got a book to recommend you.
Yeah? You want to sell it with me? Do you want to invite me to a conference?
I'm going to send you a few links.
on self-development.
Will Pye's book.
No, I didn't even think about that. Actually, we do actually have a book. I didn't even think about it. It was more like, let's see how he responds online to this one.
And you know what? You are not even joking. It's actually happened to me. So I can't quote any name or context, but I get someone that approached me after learning about the news and say, oh, this person sent me a YouTube link about self-healing. That, you should, I'm not sure if you are into that thinking, but you should watch these videos.
Yeah.
Get the videos, click the videos. It's an American guy that tried to make a connection, basically speaking like a religious person, saying to you that I know we can't prove it, but it's not because we can't prove it that it does not exist. So if I'm telling you that you can teach your own DNA to reverse the sickness, and for this, I will not make any money. I will just let you know, by the way, for $14, you can access it. Like, you can learn how to do that. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's not. The way I react to this person was like, basically, thank you for sharing. Yeah. I'm on another thinking, which means I still truly believe that right now my best options is to trust a surgeon than trying to practice for myself. Yeah, cure it. And at some point it will disappear. No, sorry. Yeah. And the reaction of, it was not a pleasant moment to have to handle.
I can imagine. Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Man on the Moon when he goes to, I think, Philippines. Andy Kaufman is the name of the actor. It's a beautiful story. He was an actor that was off the charts crazy, and he basically treated the world as his stage, and everyone was in the act, and they didn't know it. So he basically he was just wild. You'd enjoy him and what he did was, he got cancer, and then he actually followed some of the things you were mentioning, but he went to the Philippines, I believe, and there was someone who basically, they did this sort of, one of these things where it's like the mystic who reaches in and pulls out a chicken liver, right? But it's really just hidden as a magician might do it. And it's...
I say most of the mysticism, I will consider mysticism if the answer for the doctor was like, well, basically, you still have 3 months to go or 5 months to go. Well, at 5 months, maybe I will say, yeah, whatever. Let's burn whatever you want. Then snake around the fire and let's see what happens.
Get the white sage, bring it here.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I got better options. Yeah.
Thank you, Benoit. We've gone over our time already. It was great to be with you.
Time goes fast with you, guy.
Yeah, it's really fun. And we see that Bola Lang, who is our very, very avid watcher, says that this was so much fun, even though it's a serious topic. I love how light it was. So cool. Bola Lang's also going to be in a show where we're going to discuss Bola Lang. He likes to be precise in his words. So he
announcements. I need to learn from people like this, because I'm doing the other way around. I speak fast first, and then I'm like, what did I just say? So I will watch this one for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get him to use cuss words and things, just things that'll get him a little bit off his game. Be ready for it.
Don't prepare him.
No, I need to, because then he'll be really ready for that show.
Okay.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Benoit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Bambos.
Talk to you soon, my friend.
See you next time. See you very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people don't, it's always weird when you see a show title and we present the show title as an invitation to have a dialogue. I don't think people really, get that it's not here to try to sit in misery of whatever it is that one might think it is. It's more just, hey, what is it really at this moment, right? Because I think it's always, if you look at this moment, you can just make peace with it. And then you jump to the past, and you jump to the future, and then you're just stuck again. Fear of what's going to happen, or the regret of yesterday. So it's nice to be with someone at a moment when probably the levity in his life isn't very high, because others are having a hard time holding that space. Yeah.
And it's funny, zero spiritual work. And there's only one other person that I know that hasn't done any spiritual work in their life. Yeah. And they have like a wisdom. That's my sister. She amazes me every time. I've read more books than her. She's like,
and she just says it.
She just says it.
Yeah. Maybe we should invite her on for a show.
I thought about it, but
Exactly. That's why I want her on the show, for exactly that reason.
I don't think. Let's do it.
We'll invite her on, and she'll say no, but then that's her choice.
Beautiful.
I'll think of the topic. Great.
My brother was a drug addict.
Yeah. Why I hate that my brother does a daily show talking about his past, which would then test what you just said about her being at peace if that were the case, right?
Great.
Sweet. Thank you for joining us for this
See you
week.
guys on Monday.
On Monday next week. Look forward to it. Till then, yeah.
Bye. Wonderful chaos.
Yes, wonderful chaos.